Welcome to another edition of Men on the Rise, where we always talking to some phenomenal people about some great things they've done in their life. And today I have a special guest, a good friend, Coach Kelly. Coach Kelly, how you doing, my guy?
Hey Steven, what's up, brother? We good, man. How you doing?
Man, good to see you. Good to see you, man. If you wouldn't mind, take a few moments just to introduce yourself to the people. Let them know who is Coach Kelly.
Yes, sir. Kelly Simmons III, from Eastover, South Carolina, and I'm the CEO of Empower to Win, and where we provide leadership development for students and professionals, man. But just homegrown boy, born and raised in Anderson, South Carolina. Dad was a pastor, and man, and of course grew up in church. Majority, if not all, of my life. And man, love God, love His people, and married to a beautiful wife. Man, my wife's name is Kelly Simmons as well. And so, man, we have three beautiful boys and one granddaughter. Man, so uh, man, just out here trying to make impact and change in people's lives, like you're doing. I'm so glad to be on this show.
Man, I'm glad you made time to be on the call. We had a lot of great celebrations this weekend, but you still made time to be here. And we are very appreciative that you were able to be on the call because we got some good conversation coming for you. So, man, we're going to jump right into it, man. Let's just talk about a little bit about your journey, man. What some of the things that you may have gone through to even build your character, to build who you are now, because I know you stand on a strong platform and inspiring people to be great leaders and all that. We're going to get to it. But I just want to talk about your journey a little bit. So, if you don't mind, let's kind of just dig into, I guess, some of the backstory of what led you even into this space. What were some of the things that you had gone through in order to build you up to be who you are now?
Yeah, man. Like I told you, brother. I grew up. Dad was a pastor, so I grew up in church all my life. And watching him, obviously, I said, man, I'm not doing that. But never say never. When God calls you, He calls you. And so, um, when I was growing up, pretty much quiet, reserved, loved sports, all that great stuff, right? Just like any other kid. In high school, I was what you call a C and D student with A and B potential. Did enough just to get by. But I always had respect and love for my elders and for people. But what I realized is that God's hand was on me at a young age, and I didn't know exactly what that looked like or what that meant. And so as I was getting older and going to high school, you start filling out and smelling yourself and all these different things. Right? And so I wanted to go to college, but again, my grades were not that strong because I wasn't on the track. But I wanted to go to college, But man, listen, I didn't let anything stop me. I didn't let my grades, which were not the best. But I said, I'm going to college. So I went to college, and it was the same thing there, man. It's these kind of barely didn't. My GPA was like a 1.7, and but I had to learn to study. And so as I continued to move forward, I just grew. When I was in high school, because our thing is leadership development, I didn't see really that leader within me. Everybody else did, but I couldn't see it. And so I kind of grew into that as I went high school and went into college, started to develop as a leader. But at the same time, I still had flaws, still had a challenge because what I felt was on the inside, I didn't think I was capable of making moves on the outside. But man, I'm so proud, man, for the favor of God in my life. He began to allow me to see that He had a calling on my life. I started growing, in my confidence and listening more to what He had to say and He directed my path. But man, went through brief challenges, got married at a young age. I had a child, I had a wedlock, all the things. that was supposed to be doing right. There was a lot of things that were going on in my life that wasn't, but God was using all of that to help me to where I am. So when we talk about failure, I have a lot of failures in my life. I have a lot of mistakes, but I'm glad failure is not final. So I learned, how to adapt and adjust to know that all the mistakes and all the challenges that I've had in my life, God was using for His glory.
That's good. That's good, man. So definitely, man, knowing that you had some challenges, and like I say, it wasn't no easy road for you. It
No.
was an ongoing journey. And then like I said, you got into now, from my understanding, I think you did some time in the military as well, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
When I graduated college, man, I was an ROTC in college, and so I was not only a first generation college grad from the family, I was the first military officer in my family. So yeah, man, went in and I was an infantry officer in the
Okay.
military.
Man, that's awesome, man. And so I wanted to talk about this because sometimes when we think a person has some successes, has some things moving forward, they think that hey, go to what you hear, go to get good grades, go to college, and the rest of the paid life is going to be paid out for you.
Right,
I would love to say that's the ticket to success, but hey, we
right,
sometimes find out hey, you get there and you still like which way to go now. And
right,
so after you have had those successes of getting to college, going now to get the military and things like that, having some success in those lanes, what was life for you once you got to those places?
man, it was even harder, to be honest with you, because like what you were saying, it's like we say, hey, I got these dreams, I got these goals. Notice I say I got these goals, I got these dreams, and next thing you know, man, once you get there, it's not all what you expected for it to be. And so what happens is that you find that those things that you thought was going to fill that void and fill that need, they don't do it. And that's why it takes God to do that, right? And so even when I was going through those times in my life, they were very, very challenging. Again, man, when I was in the military, got out of the military, I went into corporate America. And I said, well, because I ended up getting hurt while I was in the military, so I'm a disabled vet. So went into sales and had great jobs, but I was empty. And when I look back at that, God still was preparing me for something great. I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that. But that success path that I thought that I needed and that I was pursuing wasn't the thing that filled me. And I felt and realized that God had a bigger plan and purpose in my life.
Man, that's good, man. So a lot of times, like I said, I've heard it from John Maxwell say one thing is once you think about success is about you accomplishing, right? But
Right.
when you live a life of significance,
Yes.
that's when you are able to use that gift and that thing you've been given to now be a blessing
Yeah.
and be a help unto others. And so sometimes being in between those mixes is like trying to scratch a scratch you can't get to. But
That's right.
now when you identify, okay, this is the area that I really can use my gifts to help, man. Now you can move closer and deeper into now being a help to others. Now you can really say, man, a paycheck couldn't give me this. And now you've really found the true value of who you really are. And so I want to kind of dab into you making those transitions from man having success in the workplace or having success in one lane. But even before we get there, let's talk about some of the challenges you had to go through. Because I know you had some tears in your life at some point in time. That I want to kind of talk about while you were going through some good days. You always gonna have some rainy days, sometimes at the same day, on the same day. And so let's kind of talk about that because we can't never paint the picture of everything that's going right in our life, but some of the times, the things that go wrong can also catapult us and help us to get to that next place if we see it correctly. So let's
No,
talk
that's
about some of those storms you had to go through, even though you had some good things at the same time going too, right?
sure, sure. And I think one of the biggest challenges for me, at that time is one, understanding my purpose and identifying, what God, put me on this earth to do. And sometimes as men, we're trying to process things. We're trying to figure out who we are, what our responsibilities are. So all the while I had that going on, I was going through some challenges in my marriage. You know what I'm saying? I got married, right out of college. I had a son on the way, and so what I felt, I didn't want my son to grow up without me. So I figured that me and his mom could make it work, but it didn't all work out. I went through a divorce. 6 years. It was one of those things. Who plans that? If you're getting into it for the right reasons, you're like, hey, this is going to work. I can make it work. And so it didn't work. So I went through a divorce, man, and I'm tell you, I felt like I hit rock bottom because even at that time I was in ministry. I was doing all the right things. I felt like, man, God can't use me anymore. I'm a failure. Who can I talk to about marriage, or who can I encourage? You know what I'm saying? How do you encourage yourself when there's no encouragement in the room? So I went through depression, went through a lot of things, man, because I wanted to raise my son. So him and his mom, we separated. I went through divorce and start over. So from that situation, professionally, people can be public successes but private failures. That's why people sometimes use work. They use all these things outside of the house, right, to find that success or to feel that void. But it's very difficult to try to do that if you're in a situation where yeah, you know that you're struggling and being in ministry. So again, man, that was a lot for me. And that's probably one of the biggest things, man, that I really was dealing with, at the time, because I really thought my life was over. But what I realized is that he knows how to take your pain and turn it into purpose. And man, from that kind of fast forwarding, I was homeless. I had to start over. Nobody wants to be a grown man and have to move back in with your dad and your parents. I didn't have to go back to an officer in the military. I've been in corporate America, big time jobs, making great money, flying first class, doing all that, and here I am at rock bottom in my dance because I started over. And man, but what I love is that God is faithful. And man, by His grace, God began to build me up. And that was the process, even in and of itself. And so I just had to learn, man, how to continue to pray, but understand, because there are consequences when we make decisions. And let's not get it twisted. That everything was just peaches and cream, but there's consequences to our decisions. And we're dealing with that and trying to rebuild is a different thing. But man, I'm always on here today, man, by God's grace and His mercy. So yeah, I know that was a mouthful, but that was a major challenge because I thought it was.
Man, that's deep, man. 'Cause I can just test as what you went through, but I did go through a divorce, and I can understand the pain of that time because unlike other relationships, someone who may have been dating, the thought that went through my mind was I feel that's something so major. You never go into a marriage, at least I wouldn't go into a marriage of wanting to ever lose that or fail at it. And when it happens, it's not just like you lose like a limb, like you lose your arm.
You do. It's like a death.
Yeah. You lose a limb that you can't, that's been with you, and you feel like, it's a real dark place to go through. And
Yes.
the thing that I also have to realize, it wasn't one person's fault. Now, this person may have done some major things to make that happen. Could be true, but we both had some things that we probably contribute to.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
so knowing that, for me to turn around for me was, what can I do to become a better me?
There you go.
So what I did, I knew I wanted to be married again.
Yeah.
So what I did, I posted around my house Proverbs 31. And I had that like 5 different places on the mirrors and everywhere. And at the very bottom, I put, I must become a Proverbs 31 king to attract my Proverbs 31 queen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So I can only be attract who I am.
that's right.
And so that was something that I work on. Not saying I've accomplished or been to that
Mhm.
level yet, but I'm striving to
Mhm.
become a better me. And so
Mhm.
allow that situation to push me to work on me to become better.
That's
We
it.
can point fingers at others, but until we accept the truth about ourselves, we can never accomplish who we shall be.
And that's what, that's what you talk about. What you want to call it, rock bottom. Man, when you hit these moments in life, um, you have to look at the man or the person in the mirror. You knocked it right out the park. You can point the finger, do all those things, and I think that that's probably the toughest thing is when you have to look at you and what you brought to the table, what you did or what you didn't do, or you felt like that you were so great and wonderful that you could change somebody. First of all, you can't change anybody. Only God can. And so thank God for grace. I did similar the same thing to you, man. When God began to lead my heart, because I had to go through a lot of healing. People don't talk about the scar tissue that when you go through that, not and trust, and all these different types of things. And so, God had to really deal with that, deal with that through His Word and through His witnesses. But I wanted to be married again, so that I couldn't be out here dating and doing all these things. Lord, I want to be married. So what I did is I wrote my wife out in what I feel like I needed for what it was that God was calling me to do. And I began to pray, and so God began to deal with my heart so that I too could be prepared for the queen and for who He had for me to be. And we did it, man. By the grace of God, I remarried. I found my wife, man, and God is just a restorer, bro. Matter of fact, we celebrated 17 years yesterday.
Wow. Wow.
So
Congrats to you, man. Congrats
yeah,
to you. And
yeah,
it's a beautiful thing to be with somebody who you feel like now we can build something strong on a stronger foundation. So, man, it's great to see you out here winning and enjoying this time and building your business as a team. And that's beautiful, man. So I want to transition even in that, man, because you guys are, tag team. Y'all in it together. And it's funny that y'all both have the same first name, right?
right. That's right.
And so that's amazing, man. So let's just talk about how that transitioned into what you're doing now. So, kind of, if you wouldn't mind explain to how it came to be, but then also what you guys are doing to empower and inspire others.
Man, that's like I tell you, man. God doesn't waste anything. Everything that I told you prior to this point right now, that's what I'm saying. God knows how to take your pain and turn it into all the way back in high school, that C and D student. Again, that first generation college grad, officer in the military, when my wife and I got together, when we married, we were serving young people. When we got married, all 17 years, had the 18 year when we were dating, man, we have always been serving young people, man, as long as we've been together. And so when God called me into education, I came into education as a job counselor, a career counselor. And so obviously, career counselor, based on my experience, military, working in corporate America, being an entrepreneur, all these different things, I got that job based on my experience because I could talk to students about the next level, from high school to whatever their post-secondary, plans were. And so God planted there in school. I enriched the school district while I worked in a charter school, and God began to train me. I was really asking him questions. Why am I teaching these classes? Why am I meeting this people? Why am I doing that? God was preparing me and preparing us for what we do now and how to win. So when I started in the charter school and wife was in school district, but we both went into higher ed, job readiness coach, school doing those types of things. So we started our company almost 6 years ago, in 2019, Empowered to Win was birth. and we began training students. But prior to starting in 2019, when I used to work in the school system, I used to get off at 6 o'clock or around 5 o'clock or whatever. But at around 6 o'clock, I used to go to different alternative programs and teach and work with students. So I was working behind the scenes for 4 years before God opened up the door for us, because God sent this lady and said she saw what we were doing. She said, "How long have you been doing this?" I said, "Well, man, we've been doing this for 4 years." And she said, "You need to get paid for what you're doing." And man, we landed our first contract. We never knew anything about no contract. Because we wasn't in it for the money. We were in it to help and serve. But God just turned that servanthood and serving into our company today, Empowered to Lead. That's where the name came from. Empowering students and building leaders. And so here it is, man, almost 6 years later. We've been working all over the state of South Carolina, serving thousands of students, man, across the state, providing leadership and career development training for them, and also doing professional development for students. I mean, for professionals. I'm sorry.
Man, that's amazing, bro. Like I said, I'm so proud for what you've done, man. Like you said something that was so key that really rings out. Some people, I can't say everybody, but some people start off with the facts to say, "I will give more when you give me more," right?
Mm-hmm.
But the mindset, "Hey, if you pay me, I'll give you this."
That's
Not
right.
understand it's a seed time and harvest.
Harvest time. That's right.
And so
right.
if you are willing to go through that process, when it's time for the harvest, you can reap on a exponential level. But if we want to just settle for the crumbs, if I must say, the crumbs a little bit right now, you really shorten yourself from what can really happen on the back end if you are willing to wait the process of when due season comes. And so I love the fact you guys said, man, hey, I knew this was called for me to do. And I just gave to it. I gave to it. And now you guys are able to receive, but not only just on the level that you guys are only receive for yourself, but y'all able to bless others because y'all put the time in, build a solid foundation. So now you guys are able to run with something much bigger and better.
Yeah, I want to add something to that. You're absolutely right. Now, we're dealing with all of this and doing this on top of being called, to minister, to preach the word of God. And I wanted to bring that up because that was a challenge for me. Because being called, when God called me to preach His word, it's like, well, Lord, how am I going to preach Your word and do this business? Because what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to compromise what I believe in my faith. And when Jesus Christ is Lord of my life, so how do I manage that? And what we realize is that it's all one, right? And that everything that we do is a ministry, right? It's a ministry of reconciliation. That's what He made us, right? But we get to meet kids and we get to meet people in the marketplace. So God was not just allowing us to allow me to be just stuck behind a pulpit or within the four walls of a church, because we are the church. Where people see us, called out on us, and so He's calling us to be able to go into the marketplace, brother, and be able to be the light in the classroom in darkness, man. So I just want to say that part because I want to encourage someone that even though you may not necessarily be behind a pulpit, or you may, not be, you may have a title in your name, whatever the thing, but you might just be a janitor. You might just have a landscape, whatever, like yourself, right? God can use that to minister to people, and He can use it, man, to be able to. You're blessed, in order to be a blessing to somebody else. I just wanted to throw that in there as well.
Yes, man. When we think about ministry, we think about preaching, but the definition of ministry is serving. And we keep it that simple and really truly understand the essence of ministry is serving, but also that God may get glory from it.
There it
We
is.
let that light shine
Here
before men that they may see our good works,
and
and our
glorify.
Father
That's
which is
right.
in heaven will be
That's right.
glorified. And so that
That's right.
is the essence of ministry. So even when you go to work, even when you say a kind word to somebody, that is ministry. We serving. And so you always have to think about it in that way, because the best sermon you could ever have is what? How you live.
How you live.
It's your lifestyle. And so we can't get that twisted and think that the only way we're not as great if we're not like the pastors and then those laymen that speak from the pulpit. No, we all are ministers. We all have ministries that God has created for us to do if we accept the assignment that God gives us.
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
And the thing it is that God uses us to serve all. Don't get me wrong. I understand the challenges that when it comes to our black males, right? Their families, females, and things of that nature. But as kingdom citizens, we serve all, whether they're white, they're Hispanic, because again,
Man, you speak about language. You speak about language, bro. I can't tell you enough. And I know you know this. I know you hear, especially when you around certain people.
right,
They will have that sideline conversation. And I'm never against anybody who think this way. That's how they do. But
right,
how I move is when anything that I do is for whoever God leads me to.
amen,
It
amen,
doesn't
bro,
have to look like me. Don't
yeah,
have to agree like I do. But
right,
I know what I've been called to do. And so
that's
you never hear me say, well, anything I do is for a set certain person,
right.
a set people, because I don't limit God.
That's right, that's
You know what
right.
I'm saying? So I don't box them in and say, hey, I only speak to young black men. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
do understand majority going to probably be,
Be
but
right.
I'm not going to limit God to not to send me to the Gentiles.
That's right.
He might send me to somebody who don't agree like me, and I have to be okay with that.
That's right.
Because, yeah, so I don't
No,
want to box God in.
that's right, because I mean, when we look at Abraham, the father of what? Many nations. And we come from that lineage, man. So we're called to the nations. Whatever it is that we do, whether even if that's in rural community, whatever the case may be, the reality, and again, you got to know your calling, you got to know your assignment. Don't get it wrong. I'm not against that, but I know what my assignment is. So I can't compare myself to anybody. So when you understand your assignment and you understand the lane that you're in, there's no competition. I'm not looking at the right or the left, trying to figure out, okay, well, I'm trying to do what, Stephen is doing. I'm trying to do what this brother. No, I'm doing what God has called me to do. Because at the end of the day, the only way that you're going to be truly successful in anything that you do is by being obedient to God. That's if you're called of God. You can do whatever you want to do, but you better do what He's called you to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's what a success is, and that's just where I am. Because what happens is from. I'm sorry, man. Uh, do I need to wait for a question? I was getting ready to go into
No,
something
you
else.
good, you good, bro. I love where you going with it. Go ahead, bro.
This is what I was going to say is that what you'll find is, we talk about passion and all these different types of things. Now, this is a passion that my wife and I have. We love this, right? And so, from a business perspective, and the business model is that you have to make a decision in your business. Do you want to be small, right? In other words, do you want to just carry the baby, or do you want to share the baby? And so God has us in a space where now we're having to share the baby. Well, what do you mean, Coach Kelly? What I mean is that it now has to become bigger than you. So what you realize, the things, the passion, and all the things that you did to get you here, that's a good foundation. But you're gonna need a whole nother series of skills. You're gonna need a whole nother mindset. You're gonna need other resources to help you to take it there, whatever that next is. And so, but see, that's a hard thing, because some people don't know when to step back and say, you know what, let's not make this about us. Let's make it about what God wanted to be. And so, those are areas that can be very, very painful. but they can be very, very rewarding at the same time when you allow God to do it and allow you to go through the process.
Man, you saying some good stuff. You cooking now. I told we're gonna talk about this that we talked earlier before the call here, for this interview, and we talked about. I told you my pastor preached something today that was so on point, and it was really coming from 1 Samuel around chapter 6, 18 verse through 25, when Saul got jealous of David.
Yeah.
And David started getting the shine when the women start saying Saul killed his thousands and David killed his 10,000s. From that point, Saul started getting jealous of David and came up with conspiracies of how to get rid of him. And so my thing is, don't compete, but complete. Come on, man. So many times, like for instance, you a bad boy on the speaking, man. When I saw you speaking, I got fired up, ready to run around. If I could do a backward flip, I would have done it. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do how you do, but I take what you do to fire me up to do what I do. And so when we're not in competition, but if I can find ways to help my brother do what God called you to do, we all can win. And that's the thing sometimes. It can come from the elder getting jealous of the younger guy, or the younger guy, thinking the old school don't know what they're doing, whatever. But we cannot be competing against each other versus completing each other. So let's talk a little bit about that, my brother.
Yeah. Every season, and every level that God takes you, there will always be a testing of the heart. And we have to realize, again, it goes back to possession. We own nothing. The cars, the houses, the children, everything that we have belongs to God. The business, the call that you have, it belongs to God. And that's why Saul went out the way that he did. He took his eye from God. He stopped being obedient. And again, all these things that he didn't follow God's instructions. So when we don't follow God's instructions, that's where we mess up. And so when I say the testing of the heart, then God says, well, hey, I want you to create a space to bring other people in to start developing and training them. Well, hold on now. I don't know if I'm going to do that because that's going to take away my shine. Notice I said it's my shine. He said, so is it about you or is it about me getting glory? So can you take what I've blessed you with, and can you bless other people? The first thing, my brother, when we started the business, I said, God, you open every door. I said, because I don't want man to get the glory, I want you to get the glory. Because see, the people that God uses, they never come back and say, well, it was because of me. Matter of fact, the people that are sent to help you and to support you, to take you to another level, they don't even know you. But they see the work that God is doing in you, and they just want to participate because they want to see you go to the next level. Hello, it's not about them. It's about what God is doing in it through you. And so I can't tell, and I can only speak from my experience. The people that have helped us go to the next level is then because of God putting something on their heart to help us take it to the next level. But God was not allowing us to take it to the next level for us. He was doing it so we can help other people go to the next level. So what is the power to win? It's about. That's what it's about. It's about winning. How does it? Even if I lose, I still win, because you know what? Even though things may not be going right, and I'm in the process, and God is purging me and pruning me and shaping me, right? There's something about when you help somebody else and you serve somebody else, somehow, some way, you don't even thinking about what's going on in your life. You're like, how can I push my man Steve? How can I help him get to the next level? See, because as you be a blessing to somebody else, see, we got to get to the place where, again, our audio match our video. If you say you love God, help his people. If you say you love God, help somebody and don't expect anything in return. Because God, he always takes you back to, you remember when? You remember when I did that? You remember? See, that's what he did to Job. He had to remind Job of who he was, even though he went through all those things. That went on, he began to question God. Hey, don't you know I hung them stars up in the sky? Don't you know I set the boundaries? I set the territory in place. I built this system. I did that. I had to remind him of who he was. And so, when we look at what it is that God gives us, man, when we help other people, it's for me. I can't speak to nobody else. It's kind of coming in alignment and reminding ourselves of what God has done for us when we're able to help somebody else. So again, this platform and what God has given us for us is for Him to get the glory and by us helping other people.
Yeah, man, that's good. That's good, bro. And I appreciate you saying what you're saying. Far as when you, and I hear Zig Ziglar say it like this: when you helping other people get what they want, you always receive that what you need, and you can't. I mean, that's one thing I tell people in a minute. I would never be broke because I understand principle, I understand law, I understand that piece. If you continue using that, planting that seed, you sow seed before you reap harvest. You can't help outbeat God given. And we know as we keep remembering that is an essence, not saying that's all we need to do, but that's a very important thing that we need to do is to remember just who we are by making sure that we don't make it about us more than we make it about him. We have to seek his face. And the best way we can give our gift back to God is by how we serve his what? His people.
His people. His people.
Yeah.
And that's the key. That's the key, man. Even though we work with adults, I know we talk a lot about students because that's the majority of what we do. But you said it, all we are seed bearers, and we're sowing seed. And so when we look at students, we look at the people, we have to look at it through the lens of Christ because those people belong to God. And wherever they are in their journey, we have to trust and believe that what God has placed in us, that we have a responsibility, number one, to do it in excellence. And that way, again, He can do the greatest work in and through us. So you may not be able to reach everyone, and so, but we have to realize that our heart's in the right place. We're doing it in excellence, and that whatever it is that we're doing, whatever we say, whatever we write, or whatever we create is a seed to be placed in someone. Again, we might not see the fruit of it, but we leave that up to God. Some plants in the water, but God is
Yes. Man, that's so important, bro. Man, I want to leave the people with something that I know that you always, when you rather in front of the youth, and you give them that energy and that power, and you give them something that's going to keep them pushing forward, man. I want to first, before we even go there, because I want you to bless the people with something that's going to inspire them to keep this journey going forward, because you speak empowered to win, and I want you to give us something on that. But if anyone wants to connect with you, want to find out what you're doing and how they can be able to support what you're doing, how could they do so? What's some things going on that they could be able to connect to?
Yeah, absolutely. All social media platforms. My handle is Coach Kelly Simmons, KELLYSIMONS. My website is CoachKellySimmons.com. You can go there and we have information there and ways that you can connect with us on social media. I have a book, The Winning Leadership Challenge. That book material is there. You want to go to empowertowin.com. Go there as well. And with the Power to Win, with the Power to Win movement to connect with us there. Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. Well, I want you to give the people something that you could definitely say. You may have used it earlier today when you was on live, but I want you to speak to the people something that can empower and inspire them to win and win on purpose. What would you have to say to the people?
I would say one, be obedient to God. The Bible says that I think it's Proverbs 16:3, when we submit our work to the Lord, He said then our plans will be established. And so the work that God has given you to do, He's giving you a gift, He's giving you a talent, and He wants you to be a good steward over that talent. And so when you have whatever it is that you have, Lord, whatever I have, give it to you. to perfect it, because I want to use it to impact not only myself, my finances, and my family, but more importantly, I want it to impact other people, because the gift that God has placed in you and the reach and the expansion that He has for you is going to take Him giving you the power and giving you the ability to do it. You can't do it in and of yourself because it's just too big. So, but once you submit it to God, right, and you start working it out and start taking steps, and I have to say this, a lot of people get in your ear. Just get to the place where you don't necessarily believe your own press report. So in other words, where you have to get used to hearing people to encourage you. Allow God to encourage you. His word to encourage you. Because you're gonna have storms, right? You're gonna have highs and you're gonna have lows. And so whether you're on a high mountain, praise God. But you gotta also get when you're in the valley, you still praise God, because He's going to be with you whether you're up or whether you're down. So you'll continue to know that God has a purpose for your life. All your failures are not final. God has work for you to do, because you were born to win. You were born to win. And so that's what I want to encourage people to do. No matter where you come from, God can use you.
That's good. That's good, my brother. I always say winners do what? Winners win. And that's the only thing we're going to do. No matter what it looks like, what the score say, no matter what it is, we're going to always show up and give our best today, because we have an opportunity to win and win on purpose. And so I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their schedules to come in to listen to this information. And I hope it bless you like it blessed me, because hey, iron sharpen iron. When we come together, brother, I love it, man. I love the energy. I love the Ball brothers coming together, and we talk some good stuff, man.
That's right.
And so, man, so I thank you again, Kelly, for taking time out of your schedule for the time, your anniversary, also the wife's birthday. So many things going on in your end, man. Tell us, we said thank you as well, and happy birthday and happy anniversary as well to her. And we want to make sure this is not the last. We want to continue doing sharing more as time come on, man. But I want to thank you again, but also everybody take from this information, allow to not just be something good you heard, but actually apply this information to your life so you can live the best life as possible. Until the next time, y'all go out here and be great.
All right.